pedometer is used to calculate distance covered and certain metabolics given a client's time spent at a certain pace. We require to do two things. Firstly, we need to test the person's speed, and this is done by measuring out a set distance. It could be half a mile, it could be a lap of an athletic track. Any set distance that you know how far it is. So for example, we've said here that you could get in the car or a bike with a speedometer and measure, let's say, a mile or half a mile on a relatively flat distance, and then either walk, tab or jog that set distance and come back here and give us the distance here. Let's say it was a mile, 1 mile, and then choose whether you was walking, tabbing or jogging. So let's say this person was walking, so the distance they covered was a mile, and that was set distance. How long did it take you to cover that mile? So two things: the distance covered, the type of activity, and how long it took to cover that distance. So let's say they walked a mile in 15 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay, so if I hit the tab on that, that means that their pace is 3.9 miles per hour. So that's the first thing we can do. We can measure a person's speed or pace given any distance and how long it was taken to cover that distance. Now once we have this, from there we can then go on to do further assessments on each session that they exercise. So walking, so what it says here is because you were walking, now go to the walk-in tab. If you was tabbing, it would say now go to the tabbing tab, and so on. So this person was walking, so we're going to find the walk-in tab, which is this one here. And it's important that you pick the right one because each one has different settings in depending on what type of activity you was doing. They all, other than that, have the same information in the form. First thing is the person's body weight. Now if it's in pounds, you would leave it as it is. So let's say it was 150 pounds. And if it was kilos that you was putting in, you'd obviously change it to kilos, but in this case it's pounds. Then the next thing, and the only thing we require, is the amount of time that the person spent doing this particular activity. So let's say they went out and they did a walk-in session for 30 minutes. So we're going to put in 30 minutes, leave that blank, and then we can see the statistics. First thing is that given the 30 minutes, this particular level, they covered 1.9 miles. Their calories burned was 312 calories for the session. The MET level that they was working at was 4, and the oxygen uptake per minute is 13.9. So this can obviously be compared, as with the MET level, to their percentage VO2 max. And the calories burned per minute was 10.4. So this can be used for a couple of purposes. The first thing you can do is you can test the client's speed and then set them a certain time at that particular speed. And usually if they're walking, they're probably going to walk the same speed. If you ask them to do a brisk walk, then they're going to do the brisk walk in the activity too, providing they're instructed to do that. Now the only other thing there would be that you would want to be retesting approximately every 4 weeks so that you can reset this and hopefully their speed would improve. So this could be given as a program to the client, and it could give not only them but you some very useful information. 30 minutes of walking at their particular walking pace is going to mean that they're going to cover 1.9 miles. And they're going to burn 312 calories, and they're going to be working at a MET level of 4. Now if their max METs is, let's say, 10, then they're working at 40% of their max. So whereas if their max MET level was 6, then they're going to be working at a much higher percentage, and quite honestly they're probably not going to be able to therefore keep up the same pace for 30 minutes. So quite a lot of information here, especially if you understand the metabolics and how their functional capacity, their VO2 max, compares to what's going on here. Now if this test was jogging. So let's say they jogged a mile and it took them, let's say, 10 minutes. Okay. Then their pace is 6 miles per hour. They're going to go to the jogging tab here, and as you can see, it's the same information, only we're going to change this part here in these predictions based on the fact that they're jogging. So you can see how this form works. Tabbing, obviously tabbing is a combination of walking and running, and that's going to be measured here when they were tabbing, and they're going to fill out the time that they spend tabbing and get the information. All of this information can then be sent to yourself, or you can put the name of the client in here, but send the information to yourself anyway, and then you can then forward it on to the client and have a copy for yourself.